Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 1 versus 1 on Carpiquet, and in this one I'm going to be using the 2nd Armoured French Division versus the 12th SS-Panzer. Now it's been a while since I've done a 1v1 on the channel, but this was just one that I saw in the lobby list and decided to jump into just for a fun game. So decided to take the French deck just because it's a deck that I know that can do well in 1v1, and obviously I didn't want to lose. I wanted this to be quite a competitive game. So just wanted to try out obviously the new map, see how it went. And as you can see, I'm already bringing in a lot of Stuarts on this left side. I think I actually change up my composition quite a lot from the start of the game, since I do realise that my opponent does have the 12th SS-Panzer. So you can see I'm dropping a Stuart there just to invest in more infantry on the right side. I've also got a mortar as well to help me smoke off. So the plan here is really to just use infantry to push in the town, use smoke to cover the advance, and then over on the left side just cover this off with the Stuarts and so on. And I think I might actually just leave this one from a neutral perspective so we can talk about what myself and my opponent did throughout the game, because I think in 1v1s it's a lot more important to see how both players are playing based around what's going on in the game. And I can definitely talk a lot about how I was reacting to different things that were happening. So if we just speed it up, we can have a good look at my unit composition as we start the game. So 2 of the Nevers with the 50 cal half tracks, 2 command infantry, the CDP Voltigeurs with the bazookas. Then I've got the mortar just the mortar there. Then over on the left side, I literally just decided to take an M8 Greyhound Recon and the M10. I actually didn't move the M10 at the start of the game. I believe I changed the composition around so late, just before the match started, that I didn't actually give that an order, or at least I forgot to. This is just a 50 cal. That's the idea of this, is so that I can block off some of these light vehicles. If we just jump to my perspective quickly, I can see all this coming thanks to the Greyhound. And what I'm going to do is just drop off the MG into heavy cover, which is this trees. And that's going to allow me to take care of the 222. So the 222 will get panicked by a 50 cal, and that's the plan there. M8, really not in the right spot, going to be fired at by the Firefly and taken out, and I'm in a bit of a bad spot here. Just want to use my M10s to try and take out some of the 259s, try and stop that push in its tracks. Meanwhile on the right side I have unloaded my Nevers and the CDP Voltigeurs, so just getting those into position. Managed to get the smoke down to allow my half track into position there, and I did manage to pop off one of the 259s on the airfield. So here, really nice position to have some recon. These Elfclever providing him a lot of information about the airfield throughout the game, but still not going to stop my 50 cal from stunning his 222 constantly. Over on the left, well, Firefly makes mincemeat of my M10 with a quick shot, thanks to the Panzer II buffing that up with the 1-star veterancy. Going to always win against a non-vet M10 in theory. And that's exactly what happens. So how do I react to this? Bring in AT guns. That's exactly what I decide to do. Now on this right side, Nevers just about managed to get into the building here before they get stunned, which is very important. Allows me to move over my half track with the 50 cal and get on target onto these Panzer Grenadiers here. And now I'm basically deciding that since obviously I've lost this left side, I've actually already lost over 200 points of my starting force, which is horrific. I'm going to have to make some ground elsewhere, which basically is me in the town. I'm using the combination of Nevers with the 50 cals to push forwards onto these Panzer Grens. I realised that since obviously he's invested 200 points into a Firefly and all of this stuff on the airfield, he's not going to have too much defending the right side. So that's why I'm so confident in pushing up with my Nevers. On this right side, again, 50 cal straight onto the Panzer Grens, 3 stars thanks to the CDP Voltigeurs, and these Panzer Grens just don't stand a chance. 50 cal is still causing a lot of issues here in the tree line, basically stunning up the 259, and this is really allowing me time to get these AT guns into position. So I've got 3 AT guns, one for the center, one for the left, one for the right, get this really nice crossfire going. Hopefully I can get them into range of the Firefly. I know that the Firefly can't fire HE rounds, so I can literally drive these Jeeps so far up before having to drop them out, as long as the 259 is stunned, which is exactly what I'm using this 50 cal for. So the AT gun's getting into position here. This one's just rolling forwards on its own. These guys getting in behind the tree line, so they're in cover from the Panzer II, and then as soon as they go through the cover, they can fire at the 259. We can get rid of that. This one's firing at the Firefly, that's perfectly fine. This one's got line of sight onto the Firefly as well. It's just providing a really nice crossfire at the moment. My 50 cal is still alive. In the heavy cover there, really able to just pin down all of these units. It's currently actually firing at the Panzer II and making that fall back at the moment. And this is all I need to do, just make them go away. Shoo, get out of here. Over on the left, dispatched a lot of these Panzer Grenadiers, ran down the 2 squads that are trying to fall back, and I've used the 50 cal to clean those up as well. We're just going to continue to run across these fields, try and house jump forwards, actually spot this 222 in the street, and well, I've got the CDP Voltigers here for a reason, so that they can provide the bazooka. This AT gun finally picks off the 259 on the airfield, and my Voltigers just about managing to get into the house in time before they get wrecked by the 222, and this allows them to get the Zuka on target and one-shot kill. Nice. Okay, so that's perfect. Allows me to continue to move forwards with my infantry down the road, and I'm going to bring it up my half-track to join them. Over here we can see the CDP Voltigers getting hit by the Panzergrens. I'm going to open up with the Nirva and also bring up the 50 cal half-track. We're going to pin those down and get rid of those. And what's going to happen is as soon as they die, I'm going to gain so much ground on the right side. You'll see this. Okay, so they were holding this big old chunk on the right. As soon as they're gone, they lose all of that, and I actually start to get a +1 lead, even though I have no control over this airfield at the moment. It's just my AT guns moving in like a 3-pronged attack towards this Firefly. Absolutely has no chance, because the Firefly can't shoot at my AT guns at max range. Only the Panzer II at 800 meter range can actually take on these AT guns. And I've got the perfect line of sight here. Don't have any recon, which is a bit of an issue really. But still, I will be able to see these tanks at a distance, thanks to them being so big. So I'm continuing now to push through onto these Panzergrens. I can of course see them there. Going to use my infantry to continue to house jump forwards, just take over the town on the right side, really make as much ground as I can. Actually going to rush down these Panzer Grenadiers over here, and there is a Boy to Cromwell. That's going to really stop me in my tracks. So how do I get away from this? I fast moved down the road to the left and just try and get out of line of sight as quickly as possible, and that's exactly what I do. But this M5A1 pretty much unrecoverable at this point. Just trying to delay this Boy to Cromwell from making a difference onto my troops. But there we can see I did break through briefly to get a +2. But as this territory disappears, go back down to a +1. They're going to be opening up onto the Panzergrens here. There are obviously still some Panzer Grenadiers in the middle, and I do know that because of the way that the front line is shifted. But of course I am making ground on the airfield with Steele continuing to run away with his Firefly and Panzer II. The front line is just continuously falling back because I'm making his Panzer Grenadiers fall back. He's only got the recon squad here. I'm actually bringing up a Jeep with Spay to this building, and what ends up happening is I drop out the Spay and I can now engage his Aufklärer with an advantage, thanks to these guys being a 4-man, 1-star vet squad. So now the chase is on. Spy squad going to be running after the Aufklärer. We need to get rid of them. Don't want them to have recon onto my AT guns, although they've now introduced another Aufklärer to the left side. Really nice job there. To take down the Aufklärer to one man. Going to be rushing to get to the next building to take him on again. And, well, this time round, not going to live. Spy, take him out, which is great. Do use, in the meantime, on the right side, a combination of the half-track and a Nirva squad to take out the Panzer Grenadiers that were poking the little hole there. And now I'm in an incredibly good position. This infantry squad all the way back here, I really don't know what that was doing. In 1v1, it's very important that you notice this sort of thing. You check your surroundings every now and then, because I had this mortar back here, which I didn't use for like the entire game after the beginning of the game, and I also had like this infantry here that again I didn't use for the entire game. It's just because you forget, because you're so, I normally zoomed in about this level, concentrating on like moving all my forces that I currently have, especially when they're charging me with multiple 259s. Like, I really need my CDP Voltigeurs to be like micromanaged perfectly so they don't get taken out by the Boyta Cromwell, and they can also engage the 259s. So moving back the Spey and the Nerva so they don't get hit by those auto cannons. And I'm going to decide to bring in a couple of Stuarts to take on the majority of these half tracks. The main thing I'm waiting for at the moment is this Boyta Cromwell to come a little bit too close so that I can actually use the bazooka onto that. So I currently lose line of sight briefly, but I know that's there. I'm going to jump up my Voltigeurs, I'm going to let them get line of sight, bazooka into the side armour, and Boyta Cromwell dead. Now, a little bit of a mistake on my enemy's part for letting that even get close. You can't see the majority of my infantry at the moment, and he's just charging 259s forwards. He does realise that there's Spy here, of course, but you know, he doesn't know that there's obviously the Voltigeurs now coming into the flank. So I'm losing a little bit of ground on the right side, but I'm still at a +1, so that's good. Still ticking up the victory points. Going to use a Zuka there to take out that 259. This 259, however, going to get onto target of my CDP Voltigeurs and going to take them out. So that was unfortunate, but still did manage to do the job in the end. And I finally realised that this Voltigeur squad is further back here waiting to be useful. So now I'm bringing over the 50 cal APCs to engage the 259s, because the 50 cals actually have a really good suppression value onto the enemy, but this one gets weapon damaged, and that's really unfortunate because it takes away all the ammunition and makes the half track pretty much useless until I bring in the supply. Over on the left side, moving up this bay, alongside an M8 Greyhound bay and a 50 cal. So just trying to get these guys into position. And, well, I need to get rid of these Aufklärer, and I know this 259 is here once I get this bay into the building. And this 50 cal is perfect for dealing with these light vehicles, like even the Panzer II and the 259 here, so that's why I'm bringing up the 50 cal, and then the M8 Greyhound for anything heavier, maybe also just to pick off the 259, like actually kill it with a lethal shot. So at this point all I need to do really is take care of the 259 here, bringing up the Stuarts to do that. I've also got to take care of the units on the right side, so moving over these Voltigeurs to get line of sight. Currently ME-109 coming into the sky here to engage my AT gun, since he does have recon onto that. My Spitfire is now going to engage in term fight with the ME-109. Aufklärer do get destroyed, finally, on the left side, due to my 50 cal and the M8 Greyhound. This term fight is still going on here. He's managing to actually out-turn me at this point, so I decide that enough is enough and I'm going to try and get out of there. However, the way that my plane actually evacuates brings him close enough, the ME-109, to get onto its tail, and I lose my Spitfire. So that was a little bit of micromanagement on my part. Really quite unfortunate that that sort of evac'd in that direction, otherwise I probably would have got away from the ME-109 quite easily. The ME-109 is just going to have a field day now, just strafing all of my units. But over on this right side, Stuart's going to find the 222, and I'm not going to let that side shot my unit, so take out the 222 there. Actually didn't realise that the Aufklärer were here, so they're just going to end up staying there, whilst I move my Stuarts up to take care of the 259. However, this 259 had other plans. Boom. Stuart goes down. I'm not too happy about that. So I'm trying to get my sappers up. They have a bazooka, maybe they can do the job, but in the meantime, I'm going to try and engage this with the second Stuart. And what happens? Well, 259 gets on target. Hits my sappers briefly. And, well, one shot side shot into my second Stuart. Again, that was my fault. That second one was definitely my fault. The first one was just a bit of luck, unfortunately. But the second one was my fault, just fast moving that down there really carelessly towards the 259. It's sometimes quite easy to underestimate the power of AP value at close range, because I'm so close to the 259 there, the AP value is so much higher. Also, the Stuarts obviously having low side armor helped, but in general, that was the main reason that the 259 managed to kill 2 Stuarts, and definitely helped him out and stopped me from pushing really hard up the right flank, as you can see, because he doesn't actually have too much on the map. He's not utilizing his Firefly very well. Obviously, I've got the AT trap here. He can't really push across the airfield effectively. I've now also managed to get rid of the 259 on the left side, and I'm bringing up a half track to push and try and make some ground. So currently running a +2, 62% lead. Got the infantry here going to take care of those Panzer Grenadiers and make another big dent in the front line. The ME-109's got something to say about that though. Sapper's going to get pinned down. My half track's so helpful in this situation. 50 cal half track really can suppress fighters very easily. So my opponent's very much on the back foot at the moment. I actually don't know this because I don't have much recon here. I had no recon on this right side. Really, really big mistake. If I had recon here, I would have definitely been much safer to push up. Obviously I can see that I'm pushing the right side front line very much, but I don't have anything actually in position to move up here at the moment other than these half tracks. So just got to move forwards my infantry, try and make some ground. ME-109s currently strafing my AT guns. AT guns are being spotted out by this SPW-233. If we jump to Steele's perspective, you can see this AT gun thanks to this recon. But what else you can see is multiple half tracks engaging his infantry, and that's not very fun at all. Going to be pinning those chaps down, and I'm just going to be able to run towards him with my infantry and my half tracks. So as soon as they get pinned down, half tracks are just going to fast move, make them surrender. Now I'm just going to move on and try and get into a position to stun these infantry before they get too close to the building. Now I also could have tried to move forward these Nerva towards these hangars, but as you can see, I didn't. Bit of a mistake on my part. Definitely could have been moving those on. And here, my sappers actually get caught out in the open against these Panzer Grenadiers. But thanks to me having so many half tracks at this point, actually doesn't matter too much. AT gun still being harassed by the ME-109 since I lost the air war so far. Really going to take me a couple of fighters at least to stop him from doing that. And currently, since I'm winning so hard on the ground, I don't really need to buy any aircraft. The damage he's doing on that left side is kind of minimal at the moment. They're here going to make another Panzer Grenadier surrender just by rushing it down with the half track. I'm moving this 50 cal to chase down the 222 on the right side, and this is really where I start to break through. 62% lead in my favor. Yes, I'm being pushed on this left side by all of these heavy tanks, but to me it doesn't really matter. Again, the Firefly can't attack these AT guns. The Panzer II needs to be within 800 meter range, so that's fine. Just got to get rid of the SPW-233 and I'm fine. So I'm bringing up the M4A3. I know that the Firefly has to come into range of the AT guns to take that out, so I'm kind of exploiting this at the moment. Basically saying, if you want to get rid of these AT guns, you're going to have to come and take on my M4A3 at the same time. But if you can't see the AT guns, then I'm always going to have an advantage on this right side. Currently actually moving my AT guns into better positions as well, bringing up an M4A2 to join me on the airfield. Over on the right side, M5A1 still chasing down the 222, and there goes their recon. So they can no longer see the AT guns really. They can since they aren't in cover, but if I jump to his position, actually you can't see them at all. So yeah, taking out that recon made him completely blind on the left side, and that's exactly what I wanted to do with the M4A3. The M4A3 now engaging the Befehl Panzer IV. I'm going to be trying to take that out whilst trying to maintain my range from the Firefly. On the right side, the Panzer Grenadiers compose themselves and take out my half track, and on the far right, well, this 50 cal is still trying to deal with the 222. So my opponent really on his last legs. He hasn't really invested in any like infantry anymore to push back into the town. He's invested heavily in his Panzer IVs since I'm pushing out across in the open, but honestly that's not going to really do too much for him at this point. He's used up all his 259s as far as I'm aware. He can't use those to tackle my half-tracks, so he's having to rely on heavier tanks, and that's really shooting him in the foot at the moment. He's definitely not going to make back ground very easily, and this Nerva squad was finally moved up. I left them in this hangar mainly because I didn't want them to be on the end, being able to be shot at by Panzer IV there. So I've got my AT guns into better positions. One's far on the right with the 50 cal, which is still alive by the way, and the AT gun in the middle of the airfield, again just being a threat if he decides to push forwards. So I'm quite happy with this little bubble at the moment. I don't mind not pushing into that. I'm literally concentrating on dealing with the stuff on the right. So keeping these sappers just hidden behind the hangar at the moment. Also got the half-track there hidden behind. That's just so they don't get easily spotted and taken out by the enemy panzers. But what's going to happen here is the enemy panzer grenadier is going to come into the hangar, going to be basically lobbing a satchel charge, and well, boom goes the panzer grenadiers. Nice simple kill there. I'm going to be able to try and get the sappers into that building. My half-track on the right side finally goes down to the 222. Sappers are in this building now. Did not get destroyed. Not entirely sure if he was aware of this, but I was basically waiting for the sappers to get into range with their bazooka, and well, one shot, one kill. Goodbye to the Panzer IV. Nice simple kill there. 2 Me-109s going to be coming in onto my AT, and now it's starting to become a bit of an issue, but not too bad, as I do manage to sneak up with my tanks and take out the Befehl Panzer IV on the runway. I've also brought up 2 M10s now to join me, and this is pretty much in an effort to try and dispatch of this Beuter Firefly. AT gun finally goes down to the Me-109s. However, they are going to fly over my 50 cals and take a little bit of damage, but just going to be able to get out of there just fine. Another one of my half-tracks going down there. That was trying to hide the best it could, but Panzer IV finds it. Quick game of hide-and-seek there. Hide-and-seek. Sappers trying to defend the right side. Again, just waiting for a bazooka squad. I don't think he really anticipated me having another bazooka squad here, but either way, I had been continuously reinforcing with these sappers squads since they are perfect for this sort of town defense. If he gets within 200 meter range of me, he's dead. That's pretty much it. Even here, my M8 Spy going to be finding the Panzer IV here. Panzer IV, however, going to bail out another one of my half-tracks. Sappers happily sitting pretty at the moment, though. There's still a +2 in my favour. M8 Spy is going to reveal itself to both of these Panzer IVs, so I've got to be really careful about how I move this Greyhound. Trying to reverse it out of line of sight, but end up putting it in line of sight on both of them. I was wondering at this point whether they'd actually removed the evasion stat, because it actually takes like 2-3 shots and doesn't get hit. He gets hit there, transmission damage, and then finally gets taken out. But the first 2 shots, I was incredibly surprised that they didn't both hit, because they're both 1-star Panzers. These guys should have been on return fire. I don't know why they weren't, but that was a mistake on my part, letting those die so easily. And I'm sneaking up this M10. That's to get line of sight onto the Panzer IV here. And boom, 1 shot, 1 kill. Help of the CDP Voltigers here gives it the extra accuracy due to the veterancy, and that's really, really helpful. Meanwhile, on the left side, pushing up here, bringing up the Command Sherman to join my long-range M10s and M4A3s to give them the extra veterancy, and then I can finally start to go at the Beuter Firefly. Firefly is going to engage my M10. M4A3 also getting line of sight. One of my M10s does go down. He's chosen to bring in these Jagdpanzers, and that's actually a really good choice at this point. Jagdpanzers are the perfect counter to the M10s. I was saying this in another video, and I was actually really worried at this point, because although I'm at a +3 and I have a lot of ground, if he starts to use these Jagdpanzers and like outrange my AT guns and continue to use the recon here, the SBW T-33s, he could definitely like overrun my position on the left side and make a lot of ground in the late game. However, since I have so many tanks, I'm able to force his troops to start falling back, and since I have a nice spread as well, he can't do the same to me. So although he's got the morale damage quite high on the M4A3 and the M10, I'm still able to continue to push towards him onto basically the Boy to Firefly and these Jagdpanzers. Now I was surprised to see that he didn't have the 2-star Jagdpanzers, otherwise I probably would have been in a much bigger trouble than I am at the moment. This currently is just allowing me to get line of sight and shots onto all of his tanks. I do actually lose my M4A2, but it's not too much of an issue. Still making ground, still running down his Firefly and his recon. And if I get rid of the recon, that would be fantastic. Another M10 joining me. Jagdpanzer still very much alive though. The tracks are going to be finally broken on one of the Jagdpanzers. Command M4A1. That crew's got balls of steel as it goes up against another Jagdpanzer. The Jagdpanzers definitely would have been a better choice than maybe the Panzer IVs at this phase. This is actually that's the Panzer II, never mind, that wasn't a Jagdpanzer, that was a Panzer II. Finally goes down. Pick that off, just forcing him back on this left side currently. Basically not killing him, but just continuing with the morale damage as best I can. Just got to maintain the fire onto these units. I'm still surprised that this command Sherman did not die at this point. There we go, another shot. The M4A2 actually manages to get out of range of the Firefly. Another M10 here. Trying to hit these Jagdpanzers as hard as I can. Over on the right side, M10 coming up. Going to be engaging the Befelled Panther. Do lose my M10 on the right, but I managed to kill off one of the Jagdpanzers on the left side, so that worked out well. And now with the driver knocked out, got a few more shots onto that Jagdpanzer as well. And well, still decides to throw in the towel, as after 25 minutes and 53 seconds, I had a pretty convincing lead in that game, and basically had the ground on the right side. That meant no matter how many tanks he brought in, he was never going to make back the ground easily. So, yeah, 25 minutes 53 seconds it took for me to use the French deck to defeat Steel Ren's 12th SS-Panzer. Really, really fun game actually. Quite a lot to talk about. Don't neglect units, that's the first thing. I had that mortar there for the entire game, when it could have been smoking on the left side, the 233 recon vehicle. Like if I'd smoked that off, like just kept landing smoke in front of it, then they never would have been able to like focus down my AT gun so hard, and I would have just been able to hold that forever. My tank push was a bit over ambitious. I didn't have any recon with it, which was another mistake really, but worked out in the end as I managed to keep up the morale damage onto the enemy forces, and that was kind of a factor as to why the command Sherman lasted for so long, because the enemy was so panicked. But yeah, on the right side I think it went pretty well, noting that obviously the points were low invested on the right side and high invested on the left side. Really gave me an opportunity to move on with the Nerva and my high experienced infantry onto the low experienced Panzer Grenadiers without the accompaniment of those half tracks. So I had my own 50 cals and they didn't have any half tracks, so that really affected their ability to defend on the right side, and that's definitely what lost him the game in the end, because the Firefly couldn't be as effective as it needed to be. If we jump to the kills, you can see these Voltigeurs killing a Cromwell and one of the 259s. Really good job killing off some of the Panzer Grenadiers as well. But yeah, majority of my units getting their own kills. There wasn't like some hero unit. This M4A376 quite rightly killing a Panzer IV and a Panzer II and the 233. So yeah, nothing surprising really. No one unit did exceptionally well. I used all of my units to the best of my ability. The Spitfire Mark 9 actually took out one of the 259s for me, so that was quite nice. But there we go. In terms of losses, well, I lost a couple of things to the Firefly, M10 and the M8 at the start of the game. That was a big mistake on my part, but I managed to recover it quite well with the AT guns. Other things like all of the half tracks, couldn't really do much about that, and losing the Spitfire to the ME-109 wasn't ideal at all. Jagdpanzer's perfect counter to the M10, so expect that to happen, and Befehl Panther killing off an M10 again, another expected kill. So nothing really too bad. This Firefly getting these two kills was really my bad. I shouldn't have let the Greyhound get into range in the first place, especially since it had the recon available to see it coming. So yeah, a pretty interesting 1v1. I know you guys have been asking for more of them, so here's one for you. And thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.